Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. Particularly cosmic episode today. We're going to talk about you finding your multidimensional self and healing. That's pretty critical at this time. Before I introduce my guests, remember there are links below the video. Look for the Linktree link. That's got all the links for the show, but particularly my email database. Get on that. I don't spam, but I do keep you up to date in case I get censored, as I do a lot. Anyway, it's my pleasure to welcome the amazing Farrah Weir. Hello, Farrah.
Hey, how are you doing, Mark?
I'm good. How's South Africa?
Good. Well, we've been put on the red list again for the new variant.
The new bullshit variant. Brilliant. Okay, that seems to be happening all around the world. That's all 3D, but you don't live there. You live somewhere else, don't you?
Well, I work and live. I have to live in the 3D because we're all here in the 3D. But yes, I work in the astral with conscious astral traveling and healing. So that is my day-to-day life. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that then, because healing at the moment is what everybody needs to do. I'm just turning this noise phone off. Sorry.
No problem.
And I know that you're doing a lot of work in that area, and you're extremely powerful in that respect, and you've got a lot of knowledge. And I want to kind of find a way of digging into getting information out of you that is going to be practical and useful to people watching this in their own healing journey and their own discovery of their own multidimensional self. Where do we start with that?
Sure. It's like a really wide, varied topic. So I can just say, I can talk a little bit about what I do and what Spirit shows me to do and how I work, and then we can just branch off from some topics from there.
Yeah.
So I actually work often with another healer, and that to me is great because I think we're really powerful in numbers, and at the moment there's I'm seeing a lot of pitting against each other in the light community. Obviously, people get different information, and I don't think everyone realizes how infinite information is and how multi-layered it is and how different blueprints of people will download different forms of information. And then I just see there's a lot of, infiltration in that regard. So I'm really, really blessed that I work with another amazing person so we can check each other and check that we're seeing the same thing with our planetary work and everything. So what I do is I'm pretty much more go into the body. I go and check where our unconscious baskets lie, traumas. So I look at your unconscious beliefs. I see them like little baskets in the brain, suck them out. And then I look at, and then working with other women, if we do sessions together, she'll check outside the energy field, I'll check inside the body, and we kind of go from there. And what we've seen is, so there's so many layers to healing. Of course, we have traumas from this lifetime. We have past life traumas that are stored. So for me, what's true is I see it in the cellular makeup. So it often ends up in illness in the body. But we also have a lot of stuff from past lives and even before planet Gaia. So we go and look at your original consciousness. Where did you individualize from the great galactic central sun? Where's the dark tracked and traced you for millennia? What gifts did they take? So we're all about bringing everything back to a person. So everyone has a beautiful gift that they can offer in terms of planetary work. And for us, we just really want to activate and switch people on to bring them online, because I think people are a little bit confused. Okay, this is what I'm doing in the 3D. What can I do to help in the spiritual sense for what we're currently navigating? And so, we'll do all the past lives. We burn all contracts. We are not about any contracts. All those contracts are going to go. And so we kind of work together. So if the spirit will say to me, you got to go in the body, the person I work with will go off and we go and trace this and trace that. We look at where people have been hijacked in the astral realm. We even look at abductions. So it's a lot. But in terms of healing, if we don't clear the trauma and do the shadow work and clear it now, we can't actually activate who we are and what we're meant to be doing. So it's really crucial at the moment, I think, for people to be doing the work.
So let's assume somebody watching this has no idea what you just said. Okay. Let's try and paint a picture. So there's an original consciousness that we are, that has traveled through time, shall we say, even though time doesn't exist, and incarnated in multiple dimensions and bodies and in realms. And during that process, there have been attacks from the dark, and they steal gifts and hide them. So by the time that we incarnate, we've got 97% junk DNA, which means that we're like a tiny percentage of our true potential.
Yeah, so even that is multi-layered in the answer to that, because going back to original consciousness, so how I see it, so I'm not going to say this is the only truth, this is how it's shown to me, is we all come from the great central sun. So that's when, everyone talks about unity consciousness, we're all part of the same beingness.
Can I ask you,
yeah,
what is the great central sun?
To me, that's God. That's the unconditional love, original, the source of unconditional love and light, highest dimensional light.
Okay.
So I look at, all of the way I see it is all our souls individualized. So we came into individualization outside of that sun. And then I look at what energy did you come in with? Because everyone's got something different. I mean, I'm always blown away. I never really see the same thing. And then, so we tracked, this is going to sound a bit out there. We were asking the question about this Luciferic AI consciousness on our planet, which we all know is like really out of control.
Yeah.
So we tracked, where did that come from? And this is part of how my work with other people works, is like every time I do planetary work or work together with this other woman I work with, we ask questions, and then we get shown something, and then we get shown something that's a key in unlocking in terms of healing and clearing for us. So the Luciferic consciousness actually started way before planet Earth, from what we see. And basically it's a really smart consciousness. We know that. And it's really sad that it's gotten out of control on our planet, because also from the highest perspective, I'm sure people might not agree with me, but in order for consciousness to have experience, we need to have the light and the dark.
Yeah.
So then then obviously, you've had lots of stuff taken from you. So they'll show it to me like in a form. It's like if I look in someone's body and I see a spider in their head, it's not that there's an actual spider in the head. I just see the energetic forms to then bring it back to the person.
So you and your friend are like a multidimensional tag team, and you go out there and
yeah, we ride dragons, we go out there, we like a turtle tag team.
Sounds like a good place to be. So and you, let's talk about how you got called to do this work, because presumably you've been psychic since you were a kid, and you were a weirdo, and you're an outcast, and all of that normal stuff. And now you're doing this work. You're doing a lot of work, planetary work, but you're helping people as individuals. How did you get to the point where you started to do all of this?
Wow, that's quite a personal story.
You don't have. You only tell me what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. So actually, I was like at school, I was very much like stand up against the bullies, love to be on stage. I don't think I was so much of an outcast. I grew up in a very Christian family. Loved going to church, loved connecting with God, didn't understand like the concept of hell. I remember I must have been about 10. My mom, because we live in South Africa, so there's a lot of homeless people here. So I would always invite them into tea if they came around to ask for money. And my mom's like, you can't just invite people off the street into the house. And I just remember thinking, like, how does God get to choose what you're born into? It doesn't really make sense, because we have a lot of townships here where people are living in, put together housing without toilets, and it's quite hectic. And that's with, in South Africa, wealthy people live next door to very, very, very a lot of poverty. And I couldn't understand. I was like, doesn't make any sense. Like, who gets the lotto ticket and who doesn't? How does God decide that? but I always loved going to church, and I loved connecting with God. And then, I got married quite young at 23. I fell pregnant 6 months later with my beautiful daughter. And then, I actually met someone who kind of activated a remembrance in me. So I was always interested in, from young, I was writing poetry a little bit like you, reading, like the Celestine prophecies. But I'd been told my whole life, if you do yoga, you're going to open your soul to the devil. Like fight the devil every day in the Astrals. But, all of these limitations, I had to really work through like these limiting beliefs. And then, my life just totally changed when I met this person who, like, I just started remembering past lives, and then I just totally dove into doing the work. So I did loads of walking meditations every day, and I ended up going through divorce and like a really big dark night of the soul, because everything in my life had to shift. And then like with COVID, I lost my business and everything, and many times like, oh, I want to leave the planet, it's just too hard. But I just stuck with, I started getting information and connecting with my guides a long time ago, and I just had spirit train me, literally, like every day, get up, go. If you have a question, if I had an issue in my life, if I couldn't understand why someone was nasty to me or something would happen, spirit would say go, and then I would get a perspective of why the situation is why, and it would just always take anything that felt like it was the end of the world or felt really hard to deal with, and spirit would show me like the other side of the coin, and I would always just feel like, wow, amazed. And it was because of that faith, and because I kept going back to it, that it obviously developed. And then I just kind of took up from there and met the woman I work with now, and she's amazing. And I think that's pretty much the story.
It's a cool story, and what I like about it is that you listened to your higher self and trusted it, and that trust built and built and built. And that's what it's like, isn't it? It's like an evolving relationship where you trust it more over time because it's right more over time, and you don't get so bothered about losing things and stuff, and things have to shift, don't they? And
you have to. I mean, shit, Mark. I almost lost my daughter. I think you know a little bit about my story. And I spirit said, go into meditation, become like surrender. You can't be in resistance. I had so many amazing miracles, but I lost. Like my life shifted so much. It sounds like loss, but at the end of the day, it just clears the way. So it's really painful because I had to go through such a huge, what would be seen as loss, but just recalibration. And I kind of, because so many things changed and I lost so many friends and people and whatnot, I kind of just, like, spirit was all I had, and I mean, people thought I was batshit crazy, and now I have, my family totally loves me, they accept me, I have a beautiful soul family, but it was rough and dark for a while.
No, I know it is. You talked about the Luciferic AI coming from way before Gaia and Earth. And I know that spirit is a term that we use now. Where exactly is it from? How does it relate to the stories in the Bible? What is it? It's a Luciferic AI. I've been calling it demonic AI for a while. It's known as black goo. I've been attacked by it my whole life. In fact, I was on a show this morning explaining that I think everybody was possessed by this thing for a very long time, and what we're going through at the moment is a weakening of that and an extraction of us from it, which is the Great Awakening. What would you add to that?
So okay, well, it can take on many forms. So it's actually really interesting. I was thinking before we came on the show, that's the one question I actually don't have an answer to, is how did it originate? I've just gone back to trace where it started. I haven't looked at, so I can always maybe go and have a look at that and come back to you with that answer, if I can get an answer. So it's like, we talk about Moloch, Baal, and Lucifer. I was asking, Are they the same? Are they different? How did they come about? So for me, what did I get? I got Baal is actually created through focused intention of the first human sacrifice. It was almost like a developed form, that because humans have this amazing ability to create. So the way our energy system is set up, obviously some other beings, low vibrational beings, don't have that ability. When we use focused intention, when we know how to actually use our gifts, we can pretty much create anything. But service to self individuals, that's very hard to fully polarize. But everything's a soul. So even like a reptilian energy is over eons mastered the service to self polarization. Obviously not all reptilians. I'm talking about like really, really bad entities. I would rather call them entities than demonic. And I don't like the term possession either. I think there's a lot of like programming even around and ideas around the words, because it's so fluid and interchangeable. But I wouldn't say everyone has AI goo stuff in them, but everyone definitely has got contracts that they've signed either on their behalf or that have been signed on their, so they've either signed themselves or been signed on their behalves or entered into agreements. Like imagine you're in a past life and you about to have your tongue chopped out and they say, well, make this agreement. That contract's still in place. So it's a really multifaceted and multi-layered answer to that question. What I've seen is that many light workers and high vibrational beings have lived on many planets, and there's been many apocalypses. So that AI consciousness, for example, and this is sounding really sci-fi, but like the warlocks will come and take over. And again, why would a low vibrational being like that want to mess with us? Why don't they just do their own thing? Because they need our life force energy to be able to exist in the third dimensional realm. So yeah, Earth, it's gotten particularly bad. That consciousness has gotten out of control. My feeling is that we needed the light, and we need light and dark for experience and for balance and all of those things. However, because it's such a highly intelligent consciousness, it's almost like I see it like multiplying, like a code would just out in an uncontrollable sense. And I think that's what's happened on Earth. But as all of us light workers, which many people aren't even aware are, we've been doing this for a long time. We've actually got all of the tools and information and memories that obviously they've been wiped, but we can access all of that. And like this time, apocalypse is not going to be the same as it was. So
what's your feeling or vision about where we're going?
So I never would ever put dates on anything or make a solid prediction. I mean, there's always 3 probable timelines or highest timelines that can play out. In terms of time, which when I look at it, when it's stacked like this and it's not like that, yeah, we've 100% won this time round. But however, how we get there, the path in which we get there is still pretty uncertain. Well, it's not uncertain. It's just that I wouldn't say, yeah, by 2025, we're all going to be a new Earth and it's going to be free. I'd love to say that in 2022, it'll be like that, but I wouldn't make a prediction on that.
When you say new Earth, what do you mean by that?
So to me, that is, well, I see there's a bifurcation, obviously, that's happening. That's interesting how that's going to play out. But new Earth to me is that higher frequency living. So I think personally that could take a really long time before we get to a point where people are communicating telepathically and levitating, and we've got totally new architecture and it's all sacred geometry and beautiful stuff. But the seedlings for new Earth, I see as people being able to hold higher states of consciousness, and that's higher frequency. I see that already. I see that people who had low states of consciousness or were not open to even anything spiritual, I've seen in a year massive shift. So I like us to believe that there isn't a great awakening thanks to everything we're navigating, but I definitely see that there is. Question.
Yeah, me too.
It starts with the question, like, you know, what we've been taught is a true, and then like that seed starts, and it's really beautiful to watch.
It is. So what kind of individual healing work are you doing at the moment? What are you finding? Are you finding a similar story happening, or is everybody completely different? Is it light workers coming to you? Is it how's it working for you?
Yeah, mostly word of mouth. People have found us and me. Mostly I'm working with people who are quite conscious people. So people who have already done the work and are open to things like the astral realm. I mean, it's very overwhelming for someone who doesn't know about these things or has had a lot of religious, I don't want to use derogatory terms because nothing is actually from the highest level right, bad or wrong, and I don't have anything against religion, but you know, the fears and the limitations, that's something that it would be very hard for someone like that to come and work with someone like me. But then again, you know, I've worked on people who are sick, who are maybe not that spiritual, and then through that I've had felt better, and then that's also opened them up. So yeah.
Well, it must be pretty fulfilling work to do.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is. It is so because to see people healing, to see people releasing traumas and density and feeling light. It's hard work. People have to be brave to do it. It's not for the faint-hearted. And I always say it's not that I wave a magic wand and I can fix you. It's not like that. You participate in your own healing. You have to. You have to feel it. You have to release it. You have to look at the stories, which I always say are just stories, and like, yeah, participate in it.
So when you're working on the higher dimensions, is there is there a level past which they can't access you?
Yeah, so we go up quite high for planetary work. We take also we work with clients depending on their frequency around the 36, 42, 50 dimension. Like spirit will just say how far we have to go up. Some people might not agree with me, but we see that you can get hijacked up to the 25th dimension. So yeah. But I'm also learning new things every day. So every day that I'm doing the work, my knowledge is growing and expanding. I'm learning new things. So we know like there's an infinite amount of knowledge out there. I probably know like a fraction of it.
Well, you know, when you said you were connecting to your past lives and you had the remembrance of those, how did that? I think a lot of people might be watching this thinking, "I wish that had happened to me. I wish I could do that, or wish I could remember a past life." I mean, for me as a kid, I always saw myself as a Roman soldier. I didn't know why. I didn't know what a past life was then, but I saw that. One of my sons insisted his name was something else for 6 months,
Amazing.
and he talked differently, and he described his whole family. This is when he could first talk,
Wow.
you know, and for 6 months he said, I not this, I that." And he got really cross if you called him by his name,
Did
and he
you give him his name back?
well, he's sticking with the name we gave him now, but, for 6 months, when he could first speak, he just refused to be allowed to allow us to call him by that name. We had to call him by another name. We had to call him Gary. He wanted to be
Wow.
called Gary, and he described his whole life, his dog, the car, his mammy and his pappy. It was a different world, and it
So
was amazing.
amazing. So
You
some
know,
yeah, that's so cool. Like some of the work I do is I'll go back into when you're in the womb with mom. Like we can almost see when we're in the womb. That's why lots of souls don't want to come. They're like, no. Um, but I will go there because you're so connected there, and then I'll go because you also all of the stresses that mom has, all of the strains and emotional ups and downs. We pick that all up in the womb, so it's already starting in the womb. The stress on the nervous system. I can already work on the brain in the womb. But yeah, the babies are or infants in the womb are super connected, super connected.
why do you think we choose to come here, considering it's so difficult?
For me, it doesn't have to be the same for everyone else. I was shown that I came in Lemurian times and I saw the beginning from the end. I heard the call for Earth because we'd done this many times and it's time for it to stop now. I don't have all the answers, but yeah, I came knowing that I was going to lose my memory, go through all of these terrible, horrible lives that I had, and come actually to be here for now. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't assume anybody's got all the answers. I'm just interested in your perspective because, you know, working on the astral is not something everybody does, but everybody can access this, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be careful though. So you've got to build your bubble of protection. I have a special way of doing it. People must do what resonates for them. It's just like the astral is a very tricky place. That astral level plane, it's dark. You know, the thing is, I always say, I see that the dark can't create, and they have no ability to manifest and create, but shit, are they smart? Like, don't underestimate how smart they are, how they can invert and hijack and switch and change. And if you're not doing the work to be conscious when you're doing any form of astral, and even when you're sleeping, you gotta be conscious of it.
So you said about what was it, a mirror of protection?
Yeah. So the way I like to, for anyone who's listening, it's really good to get it out there. If you guys build your energy field at night, you just grow it really big, like a kilometer if you can. It's a bubble. And then I do like a seal of perspex. That's for the alien goo that you talk about. And then on the outside, I do molten gold, and I take a giant stamp and say, I do not consent to negative entities. And then around the molten gold, I put mirrors facing outwards. You can do a few more steps if you want to bring in the violet flame, and you can put in infinite amount of flames around it. And then inside it, I put an iridescent light gel, which is for the shedding. And then you basically anchor yourself into your bubble with white light shooting from the top of your crown, from your spine, your stomach, back. So you're fully anchored in your energy space. And then from there, you put in all your favorite crystals. You bring in your guides or teams. If you like working with dragons, you can bring in the 144,000 white wolves. I mean, you can bring in all the things you want to manifest, money or the holidays, or if you want to change a job, you ask to raise the frequency to 3,000 hertz. And yeah, it's a pretty good bubble for me.
Now, how did you learn how to do that?
Spirit showed us. We do a lot of planetary work. I'm not going to talk about that. It's on behalf of humanity. So you can imagine we have to really protect ourselves.
Yeah, I know you can't talk about everything. It's interesting because I was taught that protection by a man about 11 years ago.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And he came into my life by complete weirdness. It was a weird thing. It was like somebody that I knew had met him, and he'd been clearing he told me his job on Earth was to clear the souls that needed to be cleared. So he'd go to Hastings and all the soldiers there from 1066, and they were still wandering around.
Yeah, we see them. We see them often. Yeah.
So he was clearing them off the earth, and his mentor was a vicar in England. And when you went to the rectory, he said the bookshelves were amazing. It was just full of books about UFOs and aliens and all sorts of stuff. This vicar, and he was telling me about all the UFOs that were under the water, and he just took me under his wing, and I started meeting up with him, and he started teaching me things, and I was like, why
that came in physical form for you?
Absolutely, yeah. And cool. I spoke to one of his friends not long ago, and I said, why did you all give me attention? And they said, well, because we knew who you were. And I was like, I didn't know who I was. So, and he taught me this bell jar protection. It's quite similar to what you said, but mine was like, if you imagine a bell jar, which is that shape, and you're stood inside it, and the bell jar's on top of you, and then you seal it across the bottom. And then you flood it with divine light, but you seal it on the outside with silver, And then you say any negative energy that comes towards me gets returned to sender or
To the mirror, yeah.
the mirror.
Yeah, you can also put a beautiful multidimensional cloak over you. I mean, you can work with endless tools because it's really when you put the intention there. So when you're putting your focus intention there and you're working with spirit, you're working with the light. That's why I say there's not one way to do it. That's my way to do it. That's what I'd advise someone who is looking for advice. But I mean, that also sounds beautiful what you just explained to me.
Well, I think it's really important because I sometimes forget to do. You know that I sometimes forget to do it.
Gotta do it.
I know. Stop nagging me. I know. But I remember being in the car with him once, and we'd go past somebody, and he started doing this with his hands, and I'd be like, "What the fuck's he doing?" And he could feel the bad guys basically, and he knew immediately where they were. And he had me in a pub one day, and he was like, "Who's in that room?" And I started describing who was in that room, and he was mentoring me, and I didn't even realize it.
That's so cool.
I know, it's really cool.
Where's he now? Special dude. I want to meet him.
Well, he's dead.
We call it Sky Self, and he can work with us in the Astral.
Well, I think he's been working with me all through the last 18 months. I've started talking to him. I had 2 ghosts last night. This is something else I was going to ask you about because I've had lots of spiritual attacks. I've talked to you about them before. To the point where, they're physically on me. I had one on my back and I had to crawl up the stairs. That was about a year ago. Some really dark stuff. But I'm also getting communicated with by things that aren't bad. And is it like you open the door and then everybody comes in? Is there a way of going, hey, look, between the hours?
That's why we work from the higher dimensions.
Yeah.
I don't do the work unless I go up. And then when I go to bed, I protect myself. And if I wake up at night, then I go up. If I want to do any work, if I want to put myself in the healing chamber, if I want to ask for information, if I want to sometimes, must be careful what I say. Sometimes something will come, a being will come to me and say, please go and look at this. And not just look at it, go and do work to disable it or whatever. Then I have to go up to do it. So yeah, I mean, but I think everyone is open to. I don't want to make it scary. It's not a scary thing, but because of all the contracts, lots of contracts and permission slips given consciously and unconsciously throughout the beginning of time, we are all susceptible to having energies come in and out. And I mean, I see cords, I see all kinds of things. So it's not that you open the door and everything. I think if you're working for the light, sure, they're going to want to come and check what you're doing. I think if you're not, they're not going to really worry about you. So that's why when you're doing work for the light, then you've got to make sure you are extra protected.
Yeah, so that protection that you shared is a practical thing. Is there anything else practical that people could be doing themselves? Because it sounds like a lot of work as well. It sounds like, how can you ever switch off?
It's not hard to build an energy bubble before you go to bed. It's like, I mean, you can like copy and paste it. It's done.
But you make it sound easy. Even sometimes, I'm busy watching a YouTube video and I fall asleep and I forget, or that's what
maybe just what I'd say is then maybe like do it before dinner time, so you just know you've done it. Just it's called spiritual hygiene. You gotta do it.
Yeah, well, sometimes I don't shower for 3 days, so that's probably what it is. I'm just a lazy bloke.
That's fine. You can be unhygienic on every other level. You just have to have spiritual hygiene. That's all.
Yeah, it's okay if you don't wash, so long as you do the protection.
Yeah.
Cool.
It is important. Yeah.
So, so if assuming there are 7 billion people on this planet, I'm not sure about that, but assuming there are, this is a lot of work. How are we gonna get everybody cleaned up?
I think people are like, there's a lot of help. I gotta understand there's so little that we actually see. There's a lot of help. There's a lot of assistance. Not everyone wants to go on the ascension journey, and that's their sole choice. So, I mean, I always say, I always want to save everyone, but actually that's not honoring someone's sole choice. If some people want to go back and do another 26,000 year cycle, that can be on a soul level their choice. Not everyone's going to want to go where we want to go. And in the scheme of things, 26,000 years is nothing.
So living in a higher frequency, the awakening, the new earth, that's where we're going.
Yeah, that's where Gaia is going. So that
Yeah.
Gaia's frequency is shifting. It will be unsustainable at some point. I don't know how many years that's going to take. I have an idea. I'm just not going to say it. Gaia is shifting. Our planet is not going to be able to hold this low frequency, and so the other guys must either go find someone else. Nibiru's cool. Go stay there. No, but you have to joke. I mean, I'm fighting. I've had like Moloch pick me up in the astrals, and I'm like by my neck, and I've had like a fright, and then I said, no, come, where's the team? And the light is always stronger, and I do all this heavy work, but I must be honest, got to have a good laugh, got to act like a kid, you got to dance around, you got to be silly. We're here to also be humans and to have a human experience. And if you feel like, I don't know, eating an ice cream, eat an ice cream. That's just me. Like I have to enjoy being here. I have to keep my inner child happy. She has to be silly. She has to swim in the sea. I think it would be exhausting if we're just here to fight a war, you know?
Absolutely. You know, I'm trying to make everybody laugh all the time, and it just jollies everything along. It's very important to keep being silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was dressed up as Spider-Man the other night on JC's show. What was I doing? But we've got to keep laughing. It's so important. And it
yeah, but that's also what I love about JC. She can have a good laugh. She keeps it super real. You keep it real.
Well, that's the thing. It's not, you know, I went to lots of spiritual things in over the years, and I've often found it like really dull, and everybody was so serious, and I was like, this can't be right. This is really boring. What?
It's boring. I know. I'm everything but boring. I'm like, yeah, gotta be. No, you've got to have fun. But that's also everyone has a different blueprint, a blueprint and a different template. So some people, that's what they like. I mean, there isn't one box fits all.
Yeah.
It's the same with your gift. It's the same with your energetic blueprint, what you came to do. And I think the more we go through our raising of our own frequency through the work that we do, through the clearing and healing that we do, taking responsibility for our reality, we start to move out of judgment, and it has to be one way. Like I think there's so many paradigms that people play in on Earth that they believe. Like you did a show on veganism. Like there's all these paradigms on what you need to be and how I need to be, and I'm just like, I'm not interested in playing in any of those things. But I'm also very keen to honor and not be in judgment of any soul that has a different perspective or idea or truth or whatever than mine.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about lots of different subjects, some controversial, and I really don't want to judge anybody. I just want to explore. I just want to, you know, somebody says to me, I cured myself from arthritis by eating meat for 10 years. I'm like, well, I want to talk to them and find out why, you know, and, you know, I appreciate everybody's point of view.
Well, there's truth in everything. Like some people say, you know, the karma of the animal, the energy of the animal has a truth to it. But also what you think about something you put in your body, the frequency that you put into it has a truth to it. I mean, it's actually the more I go into, you know, answers from the multiverse, the more I see the answer is yes and no. It's never actually just yes or no. It's very layered.
And isn't it interesting that so many pieces of entertainment in the last 10 years have introduced this concept of the multiverse that was not really in mainstream consciousness before. You know, biggest film, I think the biggest film of all time is about to hit cinemas, the Spider-Man movie, talking to Spider-Man. And it's all multidimensional. The whole thing's, and then the new Doctor Strange film about that, multidimensional, and then the Inception film, and all of these films that have been obviously coming into our consciousness field. And this is why we're talking about being multidimensional. And I'm starting to see it, you know, I'm seeing these dimensions, and it's like, it's a hell of a place. It's much more interesting than
I check when I do a client, I check what they hide in the dimensions. They don't hide stuff on the astral, hide stuff on planets, hide stuff on different galaxies. That's just like ridiculous. So when I open the dimension, zoop, like this, check inside, what's in there, tick, 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 zoop, zoop, zoop. Sometimes I think I'm living in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I think you are. If I know you're busy, but if people want to get hold of you, I'll put a link to I'll put your contact details below here if anybody, because people will ask me, so I'll just put them in the description. Is that okay with you, or are you too busy?
Probably the best is just Telegram for me, if anyone wants to.
Well, I have told you to get organized and have an appointment calendar. Are you still running that?
Yeah, but because I work with another woman, we haven't synced our calendars, so it's a little bit tricky. Yeah.
Well,
do you have to go? Because I was going to. We can do it another time. I wanted to chat a little bit about the difference between archons, and I had prepared myself.
I've got an appointment in 7 minutes. If you can do it in 5 minutes, go for it.
Shit. No, we'll save it for another time. We'll do
Yeah?
it with. Yeah. No, it's all good. Yeah, no, I just think it's always nice for us to chat about topics. So if you have any topics, or if any of your viewers have information that they'd like, or they've got questions on stuff, I'm happy to go and check it out and give the best possible.
I'll tell you what, we'll do a live Q&A.
That's a good idea.
Look, this is your first time on this show, so you know it's cool, and then we'll do a live Q&A for the next one. That'll be fun.
It'll be really fun. Yeah, it'll keep me on my toes.
Yeah, well, no, I think that I love doing the live stuff, and I think people would love that. Put the thumbs up in the comments if you want that to happen. Right, Farrah, going to have to love you and leave you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Mark. It was really awesome to connect. Have a beautiful, blessed day.
Thank you for sharing your story and all that information, and thanks for watching, guys. Take care.
Bye.